No, you're not hearing me. Handheld gaming is dead, and they'll never figure out who killed it. What is up, friends and fans? Jake here, and I have found myself kind of wistfully returning to classic handheld gaming and revisiting the libraries on those systems lately. Through playing everything from the original Pokemon games to things like Metroid Prime Hunters on DS and 3DS gems like Kid Icarus Uprising, it's really become increasingly clear to me that there is this certain type of gaming that has all but disappeared in the modern landscape. And it's this thing's fault. Stay with me here. With the enthusiastic launch of products like the Playdate and Analog Pocket, and the explosion of the handheld retro console market, it's clear that I'm not the only one missing a gaming experience of years past, and I really don't think it's just about the games. Like, let's be honest, there's something appealing about this machine.
I absolutely love the Analog Pocket.
That would not be eliminated by simply adding Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to something like the Nintendo Switch. And that's because the Switch is not really the kind of handheld I'm talking about, neither is the Steam Deck. Sure, you use these devices to play games on the go, but there was an entire gaming philosophy tied to dedicated handhelds of the past, and ever since the launch of the Nintendo Switch, that philosophy has been on life support. Alright, so really, what am I talking about? Like, what are the tenets of this handheld gaming philosophy of the past? Let's break it down. First, fashion. Everyone remembers which color Game Boy or DS Lite they had. Home consoles kind of melt into the background and your experience is really all about the game, but real dedicated handhelds are concerned with your relationship to it, to the machine, and everything that comes together to be part of your gaming experience. I distinctly remember playing my lime green Game Boy Color during recess, or on a trip with my parents to the furniture store, or under a lamp in my bedroom way past bedtime. Between different handheld iterations, colors, and special editions, these little devices were begging you to pick the one that was right for you, and like fashion, keep it on you as a symbol of your identity. I had the original Nintendo DS, which said, 1, I'm a real one, and 2, I had to be there on day 0 to play the next generation of video games, like a worse version of Mario 64 and a demo of Metroid Prime Hunters and Spider-Man 2. Now, my brother had the cobalt blue Nintendo DS Lite, which said that he had patience and was more responsible and mature than me. And then Nate at school had the Japan exclusive Pokemon Center Pikachu limited edition DS Lite, which told me that his parents had real jobs. Nowadays, gaming as fashion has been all but eliminated, and we're really focused on large, phone-like displays and technical specifications. The best you're gonna get from a Nintendo Switch is that you either get this, or, hey, look, you have the red one. Not that you're ever even gonna see it, since they're stuck in cases most of the time. And that's because of our second point. Let's add that right under here under fashion: utility. There is a utility to the classic handheld and how they fit into our lives. They are designed to be taken with you and used in a variety of situations. From the Game Boy Advance SP through to the 3DS line, Nintendo handhelds implemented the clamshell design, which says, put me in your pocket and take me out when you're waiting in line or just need to kill some time. These devices, especially the classics, also had pretty meaty battery lives, ensuring that they were always ready to take a trip out with you. In the right conditions, you could get more than a full day's worth of hours out of a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, whereas my Switch is thirstier for electricity than I was that one year the power went out during Hanukkah. More than just the batteries, the Nintendo Switch and the Steam Deck can't really be used in an always-on-you portable type of way. The large exposed screens, jutting analog sticks, and, well, just like the actual sizes of the machines are too much to grab and go. But this isn't really a criticism because the Nintendo Switch and the Steam Deck aren't made for portable utility. The Nintendo Switch might look like a phone, but it's really trying to be this, plus this. While handheld mode may be a selling point of the system, the handheld nature of the device is really all about trying to take a home console gaming experience with you, to switch from playing on the TV to playing off the TV, and like I mentioned earlier, The Nintendo Switch shares ethos with home console gaming in that it wants you to forget about the device you are playing on and instead be all about the game and provide the best experience playing it. That's why the Switch's screen is so large, that's why the Joy-Con have traditional joysticks as opposed to circle pads, and that's why the relatively smaller battery life doesn't really matter to most people because it's not supposed to be used like a classic handheld. The Nintendo Switch provides glorified off-screen gaming that you can, if you want, take with you on the go for a little while. But you're probably just playing it in your house, and that's not the same. Okay, let's hit handheld gaming tenet number 3. Limitations. What? Yeah, so there was a time in which handheld games weren't just watered down or lower spec versions of console games, and instead designed with the system's ultra-specific limitations in mind. I think a lot of these games also knew how the system was being used portably, and leaned into aspects of game design that supplemented that scenario. Like, sure, streaming a massive game to your phone is neat and it's portable, but you're taking a game that was designed for people sitting on a couch in their homes and trying to take that experience with you on the bus. It doesn't translate. Pokemon is what comes to mind for me when I try to think of the definitive handheld game. Just makes sense to me. This is a game that you could spend hours with or just switch on to do some grinding out in the wild or play a quick battle against a friend. It's versatile, it's light in mechanics, and you set the pace of every action in the game, so it's okay if your attention is taken away for a second. Now, when I think of Nintendo's lineup of Switch games, I see a lot of franchises that have gone towards the home console experience. I'm talking big 3D open worlds, competitive online games, and just generally experiences that are designed to be played on a television. Even Pokemon itself has changed. Mechanics have been introduced that eliminate the grind, giving you less of a reason to carry the game around with you to accomplish something on the go, and arguably the biggest task available in the endgame, raids, are pretty solidly an online experience. Given that Pokemon even run around in the overworld now too, the game goes at its own pace that the player has to adhere to. So if a distraction pops up while you're playing a game on a park bench or whatever, it could actually negatively affect you in the game. I guess I think that a lot more handheld games used to be like books in that they couldn't go forward without you making them. And it's not just Pokemon that's different. Look at the big 3D Mario game released on 3DS. Now look at the one released on Switch. Super Mario 3D Land, it funnels you towards the goal and it adheres to the system's design because you can flip the console open and in a minute or two, beat a level before sliding the console back into your pocket. Sure, you can take Mario Odyssey with you, but the machine you're playing it on and the game itself are just trying to be the home console experience. And you might be thinking, but Jake, Super Mario 3D World is the direct comparison on Switch, especially for what you're talking about. And to that I say, we can't be bringing every single title, especially ports, into this, but the more apt comparison for me would be the part of the game added with the Nintendo Switch's ethos in mind, Bowser's Fury. A big 3D open world that has more in common with Odyssey than 3D Land. Listen, it's not that I want Pokemon or Mario games to go back to what I'm describing because the Switch wasn't built for that kind of gaming experience. Like, if Nintendo suddenly released Pokemon Red and Blue or Super Mario 3D Land on Nintendo Switch, playing those games on this thing would be a weird mismatch of hardware and game design. But on a device that I can just slide into my pocket, turn on, and enjoy at a moment's notice, oh come to daddy. At the end of the day, the Switch has been a massive success ever since it was released, and it seemed to signal that gamers want big, immersive games and don't really care about something that can fit into their pockets and lives. It makes too much sense for a company like Nintendo to, rather than make different games with different philosophies and for different machines and audiences, Nintendo can make big games that easily scale down on our more advanced handheld tech. Sure, maybe we'll get famously handheld franchises like Nintendogs or the Mario and Luigi series on Nintendo Switch in the future, but the success of the Switch killed any hope of there ever being a truly fashionable, utilitarian, and charmingly limited pocketable handheld ever again. And I didn't even order an analog pocket. You have to believe me, I'm sorry. I thought I loved you too. It's just, you'll never be You. Remember Street Pass? Oh, God.